It's 5 p.m.
All right, quiet on the set.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's start the party.
Broadcasting around the world.
Broadcastlink.com.
This is your number one internet station. The music you love right here, right now. Polkas After Dark, live. It's another live broadcast, special edition. Now your hosts, Rob and Jerry.
Hey, well, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, kids. It's all good because you're here with us and we're here with you on Sunday afternoon. Another Polkas After Dark.
On our broadcast link.
With a C.com. Hey, we're also live streaming on Facebook as we usually do, as well as our brand new
YouTube page. Sorry.
YouTube
sorry.
channel.
We're on YouTube.
It's not a page.
Yeah,
it's a
you know,
channel.
whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is. That's fine. You
it's
jumped
going to be one of them days.
You jumped out of frame, but that's fine anyhow. Hey, we're going to start some things off here with a song by the New Brass, appropriately titled Roll Out the Barrel. Hey, what a way to get things started on our Sunday afternoon broadcast. And the reason why we're playing the new brass and the mass brass is because we're going to be having two, that's right, count them, two interviews, two separate interviews. I think we're going to merge these two guys together for a couple of minutes anyhow and let them banter back and forth. But we're going to be speaking live at 5:30 with Mitch Biskup from the new brass, previous golden brass, and also Mr. Nick Nidoh, also from the new brass and, of course, the mass brass. And speaking of the mass brass, hey, let's go ahead and bring up a song with Nicky. It was a cassette tape.
I try to keep the feeling that I had within my heart, a love that grew much more for me right from the very start, with cheating days and lying ways as memories from your past. How long did you really think my love for you would last? I found a new love, a true love, someone meant for me. It's been a long time since good times, she loves me, can't you see? I have my new love, my true love, how happy we will be. There'll be no sad times, no bad times, the world looks good to me. It used to hurt to think of heartaches caused in days gone by. I couldn't understand your spending time with other guys. A broken heart and shattered dreams you thought you'd leave behind. But wasted years and all those tears no longer fill my mind. I found a new love, a true love, someone meant for me. It's been a long time since good times, she loves me, can't you see? I have my new love, my true love, how happy we will be. There'll be no sad times, no bad times, the world looks good to me.
Hey, that's Nick Nidoh on the accordion and the vocals with the mass brass, one entitled New Love Polka. Hey, you know who's got a new love?
Who?
They just got married Friday. That's Nikki's son, Corey,
Aw.
his lovely bride, Lauren. We want to wish
Well, it's
them...
not a new love, it's just a new
well,
step
a new
on their
step.
road to eternity.
Oh, okay.
How's that?
Oh, I like that. I like that. That's good. Yeah, we'll keep that.
I can't say that again. I don't know what I said.
Yeah, you never do. Hey, once again, folks, if you're just joining us, we thank you so very, very much for being here on Polkas After Dark. We've got a lot of great tunes for you today. We're going to do a song right now by Charm City Sound. Here's one called I'll Get By Polka.
Woke up late this morning, stumbled out of bed, grabbed the morning paper, an article I read. Breakfast was a cigarette and coffee black and cold, a spread of some orange marmalade on toast that's 3 days old. I get so lonely, but I'll get by. It's just an empty kind of feeling that I have inside. Will I stay lonely? It's hard to say. I'll just keep on until I find a better way. what I'm not so sure. Old habits tend to linger, they go on like before. But since I started over, I have begun to see things are getting better, it may still work out for me. I get so lonely, but I'll get by. It's just an empty kind of...
Hey, holy smokes, we're going to say a big shout out hello to Mr. Frank Huber. Good gosh, I haven't seen you in years. We need to change that, buddy.
Find a better way.
Hey, that's the sound of Mike Matuzak on the vocal with Charm City Sound as we welcome you guys into the chat rooms here at both our broadcast link and also Facebook. First of all, let's go ahead and say hello to a very dear friend of ours, Mr. Mike Rudzinski, Polka Mike from down there in Pennsylvania. Hey, it is so good to see you, Mike. Thank you for stopping by. We love everything that you contribute to polka music every single weekend. Sometimes even during the week we get a chance to catch you and your show, so thank you very, very much. He says, the Polish polka groundhog polka. Let's see if we can't find that. We'll look that one up for you. We're also going to say hi to Mr. Greg Russo in Albany, Cohost, New York. Also, it looks like Michelle Samansky has joined us and all of the chatters. Once again, hello to Mr. Frank Huber. Frank, I will definitely PM you. I'll send you my phone number, and we need to get together. Loretta Curtis Mackle is over there in Ohio. She is joining us today. And Jerry, who do ye have? Who do you have in the chat room? I'm all excited because we're going to be talking to two guys. This is going to be a phenomenal interview today. I'm telling you, with Mitch Biskup, we're going to join him, or he's going to join us, I should say, at 5:30. And then we're going to be talking live with Mr. Nick Nidoh as well from about 6 o'clock until about 6:30. And knowing these guys, we're probably going to stretch the times a little bit. I hope you don't mind. I'm sure you don't. Jerry, who do we have?
We have Alice Fischler with us. Can you do it now? Hello?
That's right.
Hello?
Let's try that again.
We're going to go ahead anyways.
There you go.
We have Alice Fischler, Chris Curtis, Dave Janka, Dave Lisowski, Donna Zielinski with Teresa and Sarah, Ivan Mayers, Kathy Graves, Magic Polka, Mike and Ronnie Costa, Polka Bev, and Scotch and Donna over on our broadcast link with the seed.com.
Excellent. And don't forget, we're also on a YouTube channel as well, kids. We've got Valerie Nidoh. That happens to be Nikki Nidoh's wife.
Gee, I wonder why she's here.
I don't know. She's probably just bored and trying to find something to do. Also want to say hello up Niagara Falls way to Linda Petrozeski. I don't know if Aubrey's with you. Also, Chris Tansky. Chris Tansky is the president of the Buffalo Polka Booster Club. They've got a meeting coming up this week, Wednesday, and she's got a very important announcement that she is going to make on Wednesday. So if you get the opportunity, if you were planning on maybe heading over to the Polka Booster meeting, make that a definite, not a maybe, because that's going to be a lot of fun.
We also have Kevin Panner with us, and
yeah.
Rick Beekler, and Tommy Hoke's back today.
Tommy Hoke from Pennsylvania down Uniontown Way, my brother. Also Rick Beekler from Wisconsin. Welcome.
And John Subchek's back.
John and Marge from the Villages down there in Florida. Boy, we hope you guys are having a great time here, because we sure are on Polkas After Dark on our broadcast link.
With a C.com.
How about a little bit of Eddie Blazonczyk and the Versatile Versatones? Here's one called Angeline Be Mine. This recorded live, folks, at Seven Springs, Champion, Pennsylvania.
I've got a girl that loves me so. Her name is Angeline. She always hugs and kisses me. She's sweet and cute, and she's all mine. She always hugs and kisses me. She's sweet and cute, and she's all mine. Oh, Angeline, you are an angel sent from up above. You're my happiness and joy, and the only one I love. Angeline, you're all mine. You're the sunshine in my life. In a year or two, you'll be my loving wife. Sweet and cute, and she's all mine. She always hugs and kisses me. She's sweet and cute, and she's all mine. Oh, Angeline, you are an angel sent from up above. You're my happiness and joy, and the only one I love. Angeline, you're all mine. You're the sunshine in my life. In a year or two, you'll be my loving wife.
Blazonczak live and in Poison. Boy, we sure missed that guy. He passed away quite a few years ago. And speaking of some folks that passed away, ladies and gentlemen, we lost a very, very dear friend last evening. His name was Gene Swick. Everybody knew Gene from the California area. He was a very, very big polka promoter. He traveled all over the United States and Canada to be with a lot of us, and he passed away at the age of 90. So God bless you, Gene. We are thinking about you. You're in our prayers, and so is your entire family. And we've really lost a great guy because he took a lot of bands from different areas and flew them out to California to play at Fontana, California, at the Sons of Italy, I believe it was. And always had a great crowd. No matter what band he brought out some greats too. John Goran Gorale. He sent out TBC, the Dynatones. I had the pleasure of performing with them back in the late 90s for him with Scrubby and the Dynatones, and just a whole host of bands that he had out there. So Gene, once again, rest in peace, buddy. You are in our prayers, and we love you. Hey, another guy we love. We're going to be talking to him very, very soon in about maybe another 10 minutes or so. Here's Mitch Biskup, the new brass. Hey, Mitch Biskup, live and in poison for you right there, or at least he's going to be in just a couple more minutes. That is the Onions polka. Hey, let's squeeze another one in by the Mass Brass, Nicky Nidoh and Company, Just Another Headache polka.
Right down that old Chico trail. And she knows that I'll never stop her, and that I'd never complain. There goes my brand new heartache. I wonder if she feels the same.
Nick Nidoh, the Mass Brass, one called Just Another Heartache polka. Love that guy's accordion push. But then again, you should have heard his push with the new brass too. I wonder if they're going to have another reunion this year. Or not maybe this year, but coming up next year in 2022. Sure hope they do. Hey, we've got a song going out to Mary Lou Czerniak and also to Daniel and Jill Czerniak. And we also want to say hello to Les and Alice Kapuscinski in Canada, and all of our Canadian friends, Eddie and Wanda Gutza. Thank you guys so much for tuning us in, as you always do, and congratulations once again to your lovely daughter, Karen, who won the award with the IPA for her song. And I guess there's about 5 or 6 more songs that Eddie had mentioned that they're going to be putting out on the Polish Canadians CD, the next one coming up. We're going to also say hi to Kathy Graves, Tony and Helen Vinyarz, up in Canada. Chris and Diane Zavisha, thank you guys so much. Mitch and Ursula, Mike and Zusha Papuga, they're here all the time. Adam and Angela Biskup, and John and Diane Gura. We want to say hello to you guys. Hey, let's bring up Mary Lou Czerniak for a song while we're getting Mr. Mitch Biskup ready. He's oiling up his tonsils right now. Me. But he is going to be live with us in just about, 5 minutes or so. Here's Mary Lou Czerniak, one called Thinking of You.
Sun begins to shine. Memories of you fill my mind. I'm full of happiness and cheer, thinking of you, just you, my dear. I'm full of happiness and cheer, thinking of you, just you, my dear. When the sky is gray and it's a rainy day, when I think of you and all the things we love to do. We know our love is here to stay. I love you more and more each day. We know our love is here to stay. I love you more and more each day. When I'm feeling blue, I just think of you. Then the sun begins to shine. Memories of you fill my mind. I'm full of happiness and cheer, thinking of you, just you, my dear. I'm full of happiness and cheer, thinking of you, just you, my dear. When the sky is gray and it's a rainy day, dear, that's when I think of you and all the things we love to do. We know our love is here to stay. I love you more and more each day. We know our love is here to stay. I love you more and more each day.
Hey, that's Mary Lou Czerniak out of Minnesota. One called Thinking of You, doing just a fabulous job with the backup band, which was Freeze Dried. And that's off of the Divas recording. Hey, and speaking of divas, we got a different kind of diva on the phone, believe it or not. What a nice intro that is, huh? Hey, we are going to be talking right now with Mr. Mitch Biskup, direct from Massachusetts. Mitch, are you with us? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. And by the way, I'm glad to be called a diva. I've been called worse than that. But anyway, God bless. Hey, how are you? How are you, kids?
Hey, we are doing very, very well, Mitch. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Thank your lovely wife, Sharon, for allowing us to kidnap you for about 30 minutes or maybe a little more.
So be
today.
it. So be it. She's been screaming at me all day, all day today. We've been working on farm equipment, trying to repair stuff, and she's been helping me today of all days. But all is well here. Thank you for having me on the air.
Well,
moreover, thank you for rescheduling. I know that the first time around, several weeks or a month ago, you came down with a infliction in your throat or your bronchitis.
Yes.
I'm delighted to hear that you're back to normal, and let's go forward and see how we can entertain your lovely listeners.
And viewers as well. They're seeing some really great snapshots of you, courtesy of Mr. Les Kapuscinski up in Canada. He is just phenomenal with taking some snapshots and sending them over to us, the photographs that he has had in his arsenal for many, many years. And pictures of you singing with Richie Tokaj and just a whole bunch of other folks. So,
let me assure you that the pictures don't reflect my voice. But I never look at any photos of myself because, of course, I hate myself.
Yeah,
my entire life I have been trying to lose weight. And I have lost about 4,273.5 pounds in my entire life. And, of course, I've put it all back on.
I hear you.
But I am still healthy, thanks be to God for that.
Yes.
And Les Kapuscinski always catches me at an ill moment when I'm not looking that great. But my mouth is better than my photos. How's that?
Well, I would say that is a false statement because Les always catches everybody. Les takes memories. He doesn't take pictures, first of all. And I'll tell you what, a lot of the stuff that he posts, I mean, you up there playing on stage in Michigan and a whole bunch of stuff. And please remind me, because I do want to ask you about the Lisa Marie Biskup benefit dances that you have so graciously hosted over the last several years. But first of all, Mitch, let's go back to the very beginning. You were originally born in Montreal, Canada. Is that correct?
That is correct. I was born in Montreal, Quebec, to immigrant parents from Poland. I am first generation, grew up there, and then my father decided that I should go to a private school, and which I did. They sent me out to outside of Buffalo, Hamburg, New York, as a matter of fact, St. Francis High School, and that's where I boarded for 4 years. Enjoyed it immensely. My father felt that would be the best education for me rather than being in Montreal and being a vagrant.
Beautiful. Well,
So I studied there and I graduated there, and it was a lovely experience. They really taught me how to study, have some discipline in my life, and I owe them a lot, and therefore I am still a benefactor at the St. Francis High School, and I'm an alumnus, of course, and I support them wholeheartedly.
Well, Mitch, you're not going to believe this, but Jerry and I live not only about 4 miles from there.
Is that right? You're in Hamburg?
We pass it a lot. No, we're actually in Derby, New York, which is just outside of Hamburg. Yep.
Yeah, you're in the high rent district of Derby.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, sometimes we refer to where we live as Highland on the Lake, because we pass that sign just before we get home. And it's like, that's kind of funny. We can say either we're from Derby or we're from Highland on the Lake. I think Highland on the Lake is when we are fraternizing with the upper echelon, as you would say.
Good for you.
Hey, Mitch, how old were you when you first picked up an instrument? And was the bass the very first instrument you played?
Oh, no, not at all. My mom was musical, namely voice musical. And I, for some reason, had a musical vein in me. I used to play, believe it or not, when I was 4, 5, 6. I played the old Radiators by the Window as if I was playing a piano. And I just, for some reason, I had this, and my mom would sing, and I would play the fictitious piano on the Radiators. And then when I was 7, I think my mom and dad dug into their pocketbooks. They were not wealthy people, but they bought me a Not yet. No, of course. My mom took me to a place to learn the accordion, and I started on a 12-bass accordion and stayed with it. And my mother used to drag me by the ear across Montreal on the public bus system to the music store every Thursday or whenever it was.
Wow.
And for many years, from 7 until I would say 12, 13 years old, I played the accordion. And then after my dad decided that I got to get out of town, he sent me to private school via our Franciscan fathers at my parish, St. Holy Trinities in Montreal.
Okay.
They were Franciscan, and they suggested that I go to their boarding school at St. Francis High School. And therefore, my father agreed. My mom was enthusiastic about it. And so they sent me off to Buffalo for a lovely 4 years education. Again, I will say that I owe St. Fran an awful lot of my upbringing.
Wow.
Institutional upbringing, but it was all good. The Franciscan fathers were terrific. And so that's my history. Born and raised in Montreal, educated in the United States, and here we are with $2.55. I might be able to buy a cup of coffee.
Hey, fast forward now, because a band that I loved whenever I first started listening to polka music was a big yellow album with some black writing on it.
Yeah,
and
the Golden Brass album, our very first album. The Golden Brass was in business for about 18 months.
That's all?
Pardon me. About 18 months, which consisted of Karl Hojnowski and Roger Lichfawa, which were partners. Roger was the money guy, Karl was the brain. And then the next senior person was Bill Supta on accordion, who was absolutely fantastic.
An animal.
An animal indeed. And therefore, then we had Tommy Kostick at that time. He was only 17 on second accordion. Then we had Stevie Dudas, and also we had Karl Hojnowski on horn. Okay. And then myself on bass. And that was the original bass, and we played for 18 months. By the way, we practiced for about 5 or 6 months, 3 nights a week for 5 to 6 hours a night.
Wow.
And nonstop, and that's where we delivered the 45-minute to 1 hour nonstop polka medley. And that's where we developed that, because in practice we would go an hour or more, one song after another, and we emulated at that point Marion Lush. Karl loved Marion Lush, and that's how we emulated. We got started as the Golden Brass and practiced a lot, and we were not scheduled to be in public for many, many months more. However, we were practicing weekly at the Ludlow Polish Home, a Polish Citizens Club in Ludlow, and every rehearsal we were getting more and more people listening to us. Mm-hmm. And then one day, for some reason, Dick Pillar came by, and he says, "You've got to go on my label. And number 2, you're going to be playing New London, but I'm going to put you on the label on a recording," and that's how we developed.
Holy
However,
smokes.
at the same time, we worked on. We didn't work on any album, quite frankly. We had a few songs that we had originated as the Golden Brass, and then we recorded for Dick Pillar on Steljo. And at the time of the release, he did put us into New London. And we played with Happy Louie that night, and somehow we were sensational, and history began at that point.
Well, you guys were one of the top 5 polka bands in the nation, which leads me into your next entourage, which was the New Brass. Now, I remember meeting you back in the early 70s. You and Nidoh, let's see, it was Gary, I think, on fiddle, Simon on trumpet, Rignetz on the other trumpet, and, of course, the fantastic drive behind the New Brass, Roger. Just an amazing drummer.
Yeah.
And
Roger and I, we knew how to produce that bass line and drum line, and Roger just developed as much as I did, of course. So I developed a lot more than he did. But nevertheless, the new brass started in 1971, I think it was.
Okay.
And somehow, I really relate to the chemistry of the band. Bill Supta with Tommy Kostick initially, and then the same guy, Stevie Dudas. And then at that point, we asked Steve Chahumsky to come in, and he played with us for about 2 years. And that was the new brass, and we went from there. And then from Stelgio, we went to Bel Air Recordings, where we stayed with Eddie Boisonchik in the Bel Air Recordings label for 3 or 4 albums. Three albums, maybe 4. 3. I think it was 3. And so that's our development there. Luckily, the chemistry was always good. All our musicians stayed with us for a minimum of 2.5 years, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
And then from that, believe it or not, I think at one time I counted, I'm not quite sure, but there were about 12 to 14 offset from the new brass guys who played with us and went out and started their own bands, from the Mass Brass, Trumpets Unlimited, to Steve Chahumsky's band, and so on and so forth. It was just a wonderful experience. But yet Roger and I stuck together, and we continued on, and then we had Nicky Nidoh come in as a junior, 17 years old, along with Jack Renyitz out of Buffalo, and also Gary Oliar on fiddle and guitar. That was brand new, and we recorded not the Golden Brass, but we recorded the Roll Out the Barrel album, and that was a sensational album with those guys. And there we are. And that was, I don't remember the year of that, believe it or not, but I suspect it was mid-'70s.
Okay.
Now, Nicky Nidoh, as a footnote, last Friday night, Nicky Nidoh's son got married in downtown Philadelphia, and Sharon and I went down for the wedding. Spectacular wedding. Corey is such a great guy. It was a great wedding. The band was more for the 168 people, and 6 of us old people just bared with it because it was a young wedding. It was just wonderful. And so that's my story, along with the new brass, and here we go to Nick Nidoh, and then going forward from there.
And it's funny because you're mentioning Roll Out the Barrel, and I've had telephone conversations with Les Kapuscinski several times, and that band during that era was great, but the song selection off of that recording with Roll Out the Barrel and everything else was just unbelievable. And something that I have to make mention, when I met you and I met Nick for the very first time was in 75, I believe, 75 or 76. And that was at the Washington Hotel. You don't remember this. The Washington Hotel in Washington, Pennsylvania. And then me, you, and Nick decided to leave there and after the dance, and I took you guys over to McDonald's, and we had some health food there, which was kind of nice. Yeah, I still do that every once in a while. You got to stay healthy. You got to eat healthy. But I will never forget that. Those are memories that are embedded in my head because I was just, oh gosh, I wasn't even 20 yet myself.
Wow.
Back in those days. And just to hang out with some of the big name guys. And I got to also tell you this, and everybody can attest to this, Mitch. The drummers, when, they play, they always count, they click their sticks. You have always had a uniqueness with stomping your feet, and I don't care where you are in the dance hall, you hear your foot stomp, and you know that lightning is going to come out of the sky, and it usually does.
Well, thank you for that comment. I mean, I don't know how that started, quite frankly. It's just that I needed all the guys to start on time.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time we did. Some of the time we didn't. Nevertheless, I did stomp my feet, being that I'm a big guy and I had big feet, and it resounded through the stage, and everybody heard me, and we started on time. It was a wonderful experience. Again, I have to revert back to the chemistry of all our guys. Yeah. It just worked out very nicely that the chemistry was good. We all got along. We never had any problems.
Yeah.
And I tried to feature everybody in the band. It wasn't just one guy up front.
Yep.
It wasn't one guy with all the vocals. We used everybody for vocals and harmonies. And we played for the people.
Yes,
we
you
loved to
did.
play for the people. And we were very fortunate, very, very fortunate. Timing maybe was a major issue, but the timing was great. The music was good. We did produce a wall of music. A wall of music just went out. And
Yes.
we actually didn't know that, but we just enjoyed it because the people enjoyed it. And then we went out during the breaks and said hi to anybody and everybody
Yep.
to make sure that we wanted to please them, and they were important to us.
That was another class act with the new brass. Everybody in the band, when they got off the stage, they said hello to people. And you don't know how much that means, or maybe you do. You know how much that means to the people that come and they pay their money and listen to you and buy you drinks and you buy them drinks. It's just amazing what you guys have done. Now, the New Brass also played all of the major festivals throughout the course, and then you guys disbanded for a while. You came back with a reunion band a couple of different times, and every single time, no matter who it was or where it was, everybody had to go out and see the New Brass again, no matter who you had on stage. With Steve on accordion. Oh gosh, Schweider.
Rocky on accordion. Yeah, and we used Ricky Bernier a lot. Ricky
Yes.
Bernier was with us for many, many years, starting as a young chap, a young surfer, blonde hair. Back in the early 70s, we brought Ricky in, and then we developed him. Then he went away, and then he came back again. And Ricky finished up with us. And Rocky Schweider, Steve Schweider, great on the accordion. Nicky came back again also. So we were very fortunate to have good guys that cared to play music. And Roger was a great leader, and I backed him up on anything and everything. And they all looked up to me only because of my size. Otherwise, it was a lot of fun, crazy times, but it was lovely. We traveled a lot. We one year traveled 124,000 miles just on weekends and every holiday. From 1970 till 1985, I had never spent a New Year's Eve with my wife. The family had birthdays, anniversaries, births, baptisms, and weddings. I never attended all of them because, all of us in the band, we were very loyal, and the band came before anything else. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's the way it was, and that's how we developed.
Sure.
I never was with Sharon until 1985 for New Year's Eve, and at 10 o'clock I fell asleep. I was looking forward to spend the first New Year's Eve with her up in Vermont. We had a condo up on the ski areas, and I fell asleep before New Year's, but we made up for it the next morning.
Funny. Hey, I wanna also ask you a couple more things. We mentioned the Lisa Marie Biskup benefit. Tell us a little bit about how that got started.
That started because of my cousin Ron Biskup and his daughter, who had a heart problem, and then she had a heart transplant. And after 17 years, it wasn't the heart that gave out, but it was the veins going to the heart. The medicines deteriorated the veins going to the heart. But she did get 17 extra years. And so Ron talked to me, and he says, Mitch, I would like to start an annual benefit dance for the heart transplant thing. And so I said, I'm in favor of that. And he selected the place at Wyandotte, Michigan. Wow. And he was the head of it, of course, and we did that for 10 full years.
Wow.
After 10 years, Ron said, I think we've had enough, and we got every year a different band, different bands, all dynamic bands, and then we also had a reunion band of the New Brass came in one year. So overall, for 10 years, we did exceptionally well as a benefit for the Heart Foundation in Michigan. And also it was for the kids that had transplant. There's a camp in Michigan called Mishitanka. Mishatanka, and a lot of money went into that Mishatanka camp for the children who had transplant, and in the summer they had 2 months of free camping at this special camp for children. So I'm very proud of that, and Ron is too. We had 10 good years. There wasn't a single year we didn't sell out, and we brought in some wonderful bands, and everybody participated lovely, and it was a wonderful experience.
That is great. And feather in your cap, you've got the heart, a heart the size of Cleveland, and probably even then some, Mitch, for doing all that you've done. But now I want to try to move this along, because I also want to see if we can get you and Mr. Nidoh together on a conference call at some point for maybe about 10 minutes or so. But a couple more things that I want to ask you. Tell us about your Poland tours. Would you do that?
Yeah, well, this year we're planning 2 tours, one in May and one in September, only because we're anticipating we're anticipating people are going to want to get away. It's been 2 years since we had our tour. We unfortunately had to cancel for the 2020 tour to southern Poland, and so in May we are going to have the southern tour of Poland, and that'll be from the 19th through the 31st, and the flyer is coming out, as a matter of fact, on this coming Tuesday. We will have it on Facebook, etc. Lenny is in charge. My partner Lenny is Gamuka is in charge of all marketing. He does it off the bandstand, but also Estelle. We all participate in some fashion. Estelle is the designer of the flyer. We will have that, and we will be coming out with that. In September, we're going to go to the northern portion, and we're anticipating that we're going to sell out so very quickly on the May tour that we thought that maybe it would be nice to offer the September tour for a second tour the same year, go up to Gdańsk and Sopot and Torun, and we enjoyed the northern area just as much. It is iconic. It is different from the southern tour. Of course, everybody knows of Zakopane, Częstochowa, Krakow, but also people know about Gdańsk, Sopot, Torun, the Masurian Lake area. So we're going to have two tours this coming year, and we're all set to roll, as a matter of fact, this coming week with our flyer. And then we're still finalizing details for our northern tour in September. Why in September? You have to remember the northern area is on the Baltic, and therefore the temperature in the Baltic, Gdańsk and that area, is going to be a little higher, and it'll be very much in season, comparable to the one down south in Zakopane. So that's our 2 tours. We have it all set up right now, and we haven't gone up in pricing. We were very lucky to get some great pricing, and hopefully, if things stabilize in January with COVID, which will be with us for quite a while, unfortunately, but the restrictions are subsiding, and therefore we are looking forward. I miss Poland, and I need to go back. Because I enjoy both the South and the North. So for all your listeners, we welcome anybody and everybody, and we'll be in Buffalo with Lenny. I do believe it's November 3rd, and we'll have flyers there, and we hope that people will have some interest in joining us for the May tour or the September tour, which will also be iconic, and that's our story about that.
And I will let you know that is November the 7th. That's a Sunday that Lenny is coming to Potts Banquet Hall here in Buffalo. So Jerry and I are planning on coming out there and seeing you guys. That'll be great. That is, of course, after the mini fest of the USPA, the 5th and 6th coming up November, just in a couple of weeks. Hey, one more thing I also want to make mention here before we get Nidoh on the phone with us. You are a very big part of something that takes place in Massachusetts, the Polish Christmas Carolers. Tell us a little bit about that.
We have been in business, the Polish American Carolers, for 36 years. And unfortunately, we had to break in 2020, but we are planning to get back this December.
Nice.
For 2 or 3 outings. with the Polish carolers. You may have heard on national TV about the Holyoke Soldiers Home, which we frequented every single year because there were a lot of Polish vets in there. We enjoyed that, and we've been doing that for 36 years, where we accumulate about 10 to 15 musicians and 10 to 12, maybe more, singers with us. And we just go, in fact, Lenny and I decided several years ago, we hire a bus so that we don't do the driving. We get on the bus and they take us to all our places. So we go to some iconic places, the vets, the Holyoke Vets Hospital and recovery there. We also go to some mother houses for nuns, as well as nursing homes, the bigger nursing homes. And then in between, we also go to private parties, whereby people will have a party, will come up to the door and sing outside. I hate to bring 20 people into the house. That's expensive to offer us a drinks and or a bite to eat. But we try to make it very quick and simple. Sing some sharing of Christmas spirit. So we've done that for 36 years now. This coming year, and it's been a wonderful experience. I have been looking for a substitute to come and take over that Polish American carolers. Mm-hmm. We have not been successful. We have some great musicians, young musicians with us, and I pray that one of these days they're going to take the reins and go on forever with that.
Sure. Well, that's great. That is amazing. And if I can, I'm going to just place you on a brief hold. I'm going to play some music for our folks while we get Mr. Nidoh on the phone, because we're going to be interviewing him on the other side of the hour. But I'd like to get the opportunity to put you guys together, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, well, of course it is. I'm surprised about that, but that's wonderful. I was just with him on Friday for his boy's wedding, but that will be lovely. I'll wait and tell me when I'm ready.
I'll be right with you, Mitch. Okay, through the magic of technology, guess what? We've got both gentlemen on the phone right now, and Jerry, be ready to hit the delete button at any time. No, I don't think these guys are going to get out of hand, most likely.
Well, I've been told that I've got to be very cautious with my voice, but I always push the envelope, only to create a moment of interest.
Oh gosh! Now I am getting
certainly created moments of interest for me.
Now I am getting a little bit of a blurb here. I don't know if maybe I have the volumes a little too high for you guys, so I'm going to back that down just a little bit. Nick, I understand through Mitch that Corey had a very, very fabulous wedding. Congratulations to him and Lauren.
Thanks so much. It was a great time, and it was great to spend some time with Mitch and Sharon Biskup at the wedding. It was really an enjoyable event, and I'm very happy about that. Thank you.
Good. Hey, so Mitch and Nick, since I have you guys both on the same line, I usually end a conversation, Mitch, if you've caught any of our broadcasts, I know Nick has, I usually ask the band to give us their favorite breakdown story. And what I'd like to do is hear one from you, Mitch, first of all, because you traveled a great deal. And maybe Nikki was part of this. So if you guys want to banter back and forth and share something, but can you think of a good one that you can share with everybody?
I certainly can, Robin, and local listeners. The event was at Feeder's Grove in Pennsylvania. I think it was Greensburg, Pennsylvania. I have no idea what year it was, but we had a fabulous time at a dance. I think it was. I can't even remember who the heck it was. I'm old now. I hardly can remember what I had for breakfast. At any rate, the incident is very momentous, only because we had a great dance. We had a great crowd as usual. We were very blessed with great crowds, and so we had a wonderful time. And then at the end of the night, we're starting to pack up. Nicky takes his accordion in the case and puts it by the bus. He puts it in the front of the tire or the front of the bus. At that time, we were traveling in an old Greyhound bus. Not old, but it was refurbished, and it was our motorhome kind of thing, whereby we enjoyed that very, very much because we could sleep horizontally rather than in a van. Anyway, so Nick, after the gig, takes his accordion and puts it in front of the bus. And we're starting to get all the equipment, and of course we're commiserating with all the people, and we're putting stuff under the bus into the storage areas and so on. And Freddie needed to move the bus for some reason. Freddie, who was also known as, help me out, Nick, what do we call him? Roy Fredericks, right?
Roy Fredericks.
Roy Fredericks, who we met in the story goes, now mind you, he was a dear friend. The story goes that we picked up Roy Fredericks in Galveston. He was a hog breeder down there. And we picked him up, and lo and behold, his real name was Freddie Mitchkowski. And we gave him the name of Roy Fredericks. And he was with us, and he drove our bus for many, many years. He, in fact, sang with the group many, many times, every gig.
I remember those days.
Just a wonderful guy. Nevertheless, let's get back to the story. And so we were packing everything. Nick takes his accordion in the case and puts it in front of the bus. For some reason, Freddie or Roy Fredericks gets in the bus. He has to move it several feet forward. Don't you know that the bus drives over the accordion? And so, believe me when I tell you, we were all brokenhearted. We virtually opened up the case, and the crumbled case. And when I tell you, I've got big hands, but that entire accordion fit into both of my palms. And Nick was obviously devastated, and we were too. It was a terrible incident, but obviously we did take care of Nick. We bought him another Sano accordion, brand spanking new, and covered him immediately. But that's a major, major thing that happened to one of our trips in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, with Nicky on the accordion, and he put it in front of the bus. Freddie drove over it. Of course, we were all terribly sorry about it. But on the way home, after we had our pail of bourbon, we didn't give a shit about it.
That's good.
I hope you didn't have to delete that.
No, not at all. Hey.
We're on private Facebook. We can do anything, say anything we want. Nevertheless. That's my story about Nicky Nidoh and the New Brass. He was with us for many, many years. Tremendous, loyal individual. I love him as my own. And we still stay together. We talk often. And he's just a wonderful individual. And that's my story about Nick Nidoh.
Oh, geez. Hey, Nick, do you have a bus story or anything that you guys had broken down or anything?
Well, that wasn't a breakdown story, but I would like to add, since this story's been going around the polka field for many, many years, what actually happened is... I don't know where Mitch was or what he was drinking that night, but here's what really happened. Very close. I always put my accordion by the door in the front, on the side of the bus where it swung out. Freddie Mitch was not in the bus, so I couldn't get in. So I left it there because my accordion rode inside the bus, not in the bay. And apparently what happened was when the door got pushed open from inside, Freddie was in there, not his fault, but the accordion got knocked over, pushed to the front. But it wasn't a good night at any rate. But breakdown stories, I think the worst breakdown I remember was we were traveling through Canada. I think we might have been going to Michigan, and we used to go up through the top from Massachusetts. And the Detroit diesel conked out on our bus, and we were sitting on the side of the road for a while. We had no heat. We had to wait for a mechanic to arrive. It was quite a long breakdown. We arrived at the job late, and that was probably the most uncomfortable or inconvenient breakdown we had traveling, in my opinion. That was pretty bad.
Wow. Hey, and so
breakdowns happen all the time, but we were very, very fortunate. Roy Fredericks or Freddie maintained our bus, and it ran like a top, really. It was a wonderful thing to have a bus, and like I said before, we could sleep horizontally. We had our bathroom on the bus, so we didn't have to stop as often. It was a wonderful experience, but I don't remember that breakdown in Michigan. Somewhat I do, but nevertheless, Freddie took care of the bus, and it was pretty cool that we were able to travel. And Michigan was a major stop for us. We were very popular in Michigan and Minnesota as well. I mean, it was a 17-hour grueling trip to Minnesota and or Chicago, 10, 15 hours on the road. One year I remember we made 124,000 miles. I had mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
It was incredible the amount of time that we spent on the bus and or traveling to make sure that we shared our talents with everybody. And Nick has a lot more stories than I do, quite frankly. Wow. He was, the accordion player along with Jack on accordion and on trumpet as well as concertina. And Gary Oliar on fiddle and guitar. He was a talented guy. All our guys were just absolutely fantastic. We all owe each other a great sense of gratitude that the chemistry worked out, and it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah,
it was. That's true.
Hey, Mitch, well, we thank you so much for, again, taking the time to meet with us today and give a shout out to all of our listeners. Chris Tansky from the Buffalo Polka Boosters is front and center.
Yes, indeed. Congratulations. I heard you had a tremendous gathering for your anniversary. Congratulations to you, Chris. You're a lovable person. I've known you for many, many years. We've all known you for many years, and you're so active, and God bless. You've been a success story for the Boosters, and I wish you well and much success in your life as well as the Boosters. And so, Robin and Jerry, thank you so very much for having me on. I don't know if I contributed a lot.
Oh, you sure did, Mitch.
Crazy stories, and most of them cannot be on radio, even on Facebook. but I hope Nick doesn't bring up any of that crap. But nevertheless, thank you so much, Robin and Jerry, and to your listeners, we thank you. We pray all of you will be healthy and well. And we pray that we can meet again in this little world of ours. That's my closing day.
Amen to that, brother. And I'm sure we will see you guys at the USPA Mini Festival. If not, we will definitely catch you on Sunday, November the 7th, when Lenny performs over at the Potts Banquet Hall, located at 41 South Rossler, over there in Buffalo, Cheektowaga. Hey, thanks again, Mitch. God bless you. Best to Sharon.
I will, and thank you again. I wish you well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay, and now I'm going to see if we can, let's see if we can do this or not. I'm going to try this. And what I did is I still have both calls, so let me go ahead and redial Nick. I'm going to play a little bit more of this. Oh, no, here we go.
I got disconnected,
Hey.
I guess, when Mitch hung up as well.
No, and that was probably my fault. I apologize, but everybody heard me calling you, ringing back. It sounded like one of those prank calls. If you remember, remember those guys that used to make prank calls all the time?
I was, of course. I was never one of them, of course.
Oh, no, not at all. Hey, Nick, again, congratulations to your son and daughter-in-law. And we understand that everything went well. You and I got a chance to talk briefly about that. But let's go ahead and kind of now start out the Nick Nidoh interview. I know we're a little bit late, and I hope you can stick around with us for a little while, maybe till about a quarter of. And I think Jerry and I are going to go a little bit longer today with some music for the folks. But tell us a little bit about how you got started in polka music. At what age did you find that you were starting to like polkas?
Well, I liked polkas from the time I was 7 years old. My mom actually took me to see Little Ronnie and the Carousels at a hall called St. Basil's in Simpson, Pennsylvania. And then she took me, of course, to see the golden voice of polkas, Marion Lush. And I was hooked. I said to myself, I want to do that someday, but did not have an instrument yet. But, you have dreams. So a music studio locally here in Scranton called my house and spoke with my father. They were looking for students that might be interested in taking lessons at their studio. And my dad called me in the house from the yard and said, there's somebody on the phone wants to know if you want to take lessons. I said, sure. I said, I want to play drums. He said, I'm not going to listen to you play drums. He said, that's a lot of noise. He said, no music there. He said, why don't you play the accordion like your Uncle Chet? So at 10 years old, I started taking accordion lessons, just like Mitch, on a 12-bass accordion. Uh-huh. And the studio left town 6 months later, and lo and behold, I was left with my 12-bass red accordion. So I listened to polka music on the radio, on the albums. We didn't even have, we had albums back then. We didn't have cassettes or CDs, nothing like that. And the rest of it, I learned on my own. I don't read music. It's a handicap in some cases, but I just learned to play what I heard, and it was interesting. And my dad always used to joke me about it. He said the cats and the dogs have left the neighborhood when I practiced. But he was my biggest fan. He was standing there in front of the stage cheering me on when I played with the new brass, and to him that was a big thing. It was a big thing for me as well. I played with some small bands in the meantime, Just Us, the Happy Cavaliers, and then my mom would always have me play the accordion for the new brass at the end of the job. I was reluctant, but Roger would say, go ahead, Nidoh, play. So I would play some songs, and Billy Bellina was there at the time. He said, hey, that's not too bad. He said, maybe we could use you as a fill-in. I, of course, thought they were just making me feel good. But at 17 years old, I did a couple fill-in jobs with the new brass, and I can't tell you, but I was on cloud nine to be 17 years old and be playing with the new brass, a band that I followed through the years, especially with two accordions.
Yeah,
which was they were the first band to really bring out the two accordion style with the two horns. So then 2 years later, when I was 19, Roger was looking to replace some people in the band. Billy had to leave. Eddie Bajer left. He was the other accordion player with Billy Bellina, and I stepped in and had really big shoes to fill. It was a tough go, and it went from there.
But a huge success for you, Nick. And again, you probably heard a little bit of the interview with Mitchie. I had first met you guys at the Washington Hotel in Washington, Pennsylvania. And, just standing there mesmerized by the power that you guys had on stage. I mean, I had heard quite a few bands by that time. I started playing in 73, but this was 76, 3 years later, and I got the opportunity to hear you guys for the first time, and it was like Mitch said, a wall of sound is what it was, and just fantastic.
Well, Roger was like a powerhouse metronome. This guy kept time like no one else, and after playing with Roger, that's about as high as you could set the bar. He was really great, and like Mitch mentioned earlier, he and Mitch had the beat, the bass. You have the rhythm going, and once that's in place, everything else just fell in naturally.
Yep.
And I enjoyed myself. I loved the sound we had. Jack would play concertina for the honky set. We had Jan Simon on horn, of course. I mean, I can't think of anybody that blew a horn harder than Jan Simon.
Oh, yeah.
And he was really, really good, and it was a lot of fun for me. It was some of the best years of my life.
Yeah. Now, later on, you decided to go with the Mass Brass. Tell us about the players in the Mass Brass and some of the gigs you guys played that are memorable to you.
Well, the New Brass ended in 1984. I came back in 1982 after a 3-year hiatus, and they called it quits in '84. So Bobby Wojtowicz, who had a group called the Instrumentals from Hadley, Mass, he had asked me if I would like to play with the Instrumentals, and I said sure. I wanted to continue playing. I played with them for, I think, about 2 years. I'm sorry. This is back in, 80. I apologize. The New Brass, that was 84. Sorry, don't get old. But 1984, and I went with Bobby and the Instrumentals, and he wanted to change the name, so we came up with the name The Mass Brass. And we went along. The guys wanted to travel a little more than they had. They were local, and they wanted to get around, so I called on many of the people I knew from the New Brass where I played and booked some jobs out of town. And that grew also. We did 2 recordings. We were together for about 8 years, and that was that. I mean, I was having my first son, Corey, at the time, and I didn't want to travel any longer because it's, like Mitch mentioned, it's a grueling thing, like all the musicians that are currently traveling.
Sure.
It takes its toll on you. And I could never do now what I did back in my 20s and 30s, obviously. I just couldn't keep up that pace.
Sure.
But I did retire and did some reunions with Mitch and the New Brass, about 4 of them. And now I currently play with Joe Stanky here in Scranton for the last 16 years.
Wow, it's that long already. Holy smokes.
Yes.
You know, I remember playing some drum gigs with you guys. Let's see, Wildwood, New Jersey, Binghamton, New York, with the Mass Brass. I was very honored, and I've always loved your push, and I am happy to say that Mr. Nick Nidoh has sat in my living room, and we have played accordions together numerous times, and just, you don't know what that did to me, to my heart. I mean, my heart just opened up, and it was so overwhelming to me just to be able to be there with you and do that. It was just so great. So again, I thank you for that. Hey, let's move on. How many recordings did you guys do with the Mass Brass?
We did 2. The first one was at Signature Sound Studio in Massachusetts. That was Getting It Together. And the second one was done at WRS, Wham. That was called Coming Your Way Soon.
Okay. I mentioned it yesterday, and I might even play it again today, but we'll definitely hear it over the next couple of weeks, is you guys did a song, let's see, and I think it was Cha-Cha Helena, I think is what you guys call it.
Chachi Helch's
yes.
polka. Yep, that was originally called Little Helen or Malenka Halenka by Marian Lush.
And man, what a fantastic duet you do in there. Every time I listen to it, it's like, it's just crazy. It really is. And I've always admired your playing. Tell me about some of the jobs that have been memorable to you.
Well, the very first job that was memorable to me was we were still the Instrumentals, but I became the MC of the band, and it was at the Lafayette Hotel in Atlantic City, New Jersey, which is no longer there. But that was the first time I stepped in front of the mic and actually emceed the band. Didn't have much experience except what I saw Mitch Biskup do, and it seemed to bring the people to the band. And I worked on it until I got it a little bit more perfected. And as Mitch said, going out and meeting the people, mentioning their name every job, that's important because we're playing for them. If they weren't there, we wouldn't be there. I think with the Mass Brass, probably some of the more memorable jobs were the Polka Spree by the Sea, Seven Springs, the big festivals. The Oceanic across the street from Wildwood was probably one of my favorite places. In fact, one time when you played with us there, you went outside on break with me and you somehow positioned your hands on the pole and you were horizontal for about 4 seconds.
Yes, and you know what? I can't do that now because I've gained about, maybe 100 pounds since then, Nick.
Well, Robin, don't feel bad because when I left the New Brass, Mitch gave me the number to his dietitian, and I've been following that diet ever since, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, but I do remember that. Those were
Yes.
Fun days, fun times.
Yep, and go back to the Vega ride. I don't know if you recall, but at Washington Hotel, you and I went for a ride on a break. And I am just glad that I brought extra BVDs with me that weekend. That was one heck of a ride, I'll tell you.
Well, that's funny, too, that you mentioned that, because it was a 77 Vega station wagon that the 140 cubic inch aluminum engine blew. And I had talked with a buddy of mine who since has passed back in Pennsylvania, and he says, why don't you throw a 350 in there? I says, it won't fit. He says, we'll make it fit. So we put a 350 small block engine in there, and boy, did that Vega scream. And yep, I do remember that too. A lot of people mention
you were a
that.
NASCAR driver.
Hey, let's get back to some more of the band. Is there a favorite band that you have listened to that you have never played with over your career but would have liked to have?
Let's see. I mean, I did fill in with Mary and Lush. I did fill in with the Versatones, that was a completely amazing weekend.
Wow.
Michigan Connection I sat in with. These are all memorable bands for me. They were fun. The Dynastics. I don't think there's a band, I'm trying to think here, none that I could think of that I haven't filled in with that I would have wanted to.
Yeah. Who did
Maybe
you...
I'll tell you what, this may sound strange, but I'll tell you who I would like to play with. I like a lot of his songs. Casey Shaversky.
Oh, yeah.
I like concertina bands. In fact, on our last recording, we did one also by Eddie Zima, which was Polka Festival.
Yes.
And that was a real old tune that my mom liked, and a lot of people never really heard it. But I've listened to that for a long time, and we recorded that one. But those are the kind of bands I think I would like to play with.
Yeah. Hey, Nick, who did you idolize growing up in the polka world?
Well, obviously Eddie B., Mary and Lush. These guys were big people. And then, as I said, when the Golden Brass came out, and I heard two accordions. And if you remember 2 years ago, an accordion was in the band, but it really wasn't featured.
Right.
And the new brass turned that all around, or the Golden Brass. And I went to see them for the first time in 1971 up in St. John's in Binghamton, New York. And, I mean, Mitch was on one speaker. Steve Dudas was on the other speaker. He was on Steve Chahumsky's shoulders. They did some crazy stuff. And Bill Supta, I don't think there was anybody that could come up with, a smoother style of playing than Bill Supta. He never bellow shook. Tommy Kostick did all that. But probably... I guess if you were going to say idolize a band, it would be the New Brass.
Gotcha.
If it was a person, it was obviously Eddie B.
Do you have a favorite song that you like to play or sing?
Well, Angeline,
okay.
Blue Blue Day, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are some of my favorite songs to sing and play, which we do with Joe Stanky, and I also play with George Tarasik down here, so that's a different set of musicians.
Okay.
But it's a little bit of a different sound, and I enjoy that also.
You know, it's funny you're mentioning, way back when you were 17, did you ever imagine that your career would have taken you down the path that it has?
Not at all, Robin. I like I said, when I saw little Ronnie and I saw what he was doing on stage when I was 7, and I thought, wow, that just inspired me. And I said, I would really love to do that someday, but I had no vehicle to do it through until I started taking lessons. Mm-hmm. And even then, I never thought that I would get the opportunity to play with a band like the New Brass, or ever dream of anything like having the Mass Brass.
Yeah. Have you recorded with Joe Stanky?
I have not. No.
Have not. Are there any plans in the future to do so? Is Joe coming out with anything in the near, not too distant future?
I doubt that very much. It's kind of, polkas down here in our area are kind of dwindling. Unfortunately, like I said, we were younger when we got into the polka field, and many times the younger people do not pick up what the parents have done. So we are dealing with people similar to our age, and it's thinning out quite a bit, unfortunately.
Yeah. Did you have any favorite breakdown stories with the Mass Brass or any other bands other than the New Brass that you had performed with throughout the years?
Well, funny you should ask that. We've had more breakdowns with the Mass Brass than any band I've ever played
really?
with. But, yeah, we had one. I don't know where we were going, but we were rescued by some gentleman in the country who towed our vehicle to his farm. He had a farm. So we were in the rurals for sure. And I remember we needed sleep. We were just up all night, and we slept in some type of a little shanty or shack. I don't know what we were sleeping on, hay or straw or blankets, but we needed to sleep, and he said he would fix our vehicle, and he did. But that was an amazing place we were. I think some of the guys in the band would also remember that. That was a very, very unusual situation.
Wow. Do you you had mentioned that you have you started out with a 12 bass accordion. Is accordion the only instrument that you play, or have you played other? Have you picked up any and attempted, but maybe lost interest?
I played drums when I was younger. I used to put the stereo on real loud to some of the albums and play drums along with that. Okay. But no, the accordion's the only instrument I really play. I did get to play drums with the new brass a couple times. Roger would let me play drums when Rocky was in the band, Steve Swader, who, by the way, excellent musician. Yes. And I got to tell you, I played with some really great musicians in that band. Steve Swader, Ricky Bernier, Gary Olear, who went on to play with Kenny Loggins. Oh, so, wow. Of course, Jan and Jack. I mean, I had the honor and the privilege to play with some of these guys, and as well as yourself. I mean, you're not a name that no one knows in the polka field for sure. So,
well, hey, I try. That's all there is to it.
You tried well.
Hey, do you have any favorite personal type of music or genre of music that you listen to other than polkas? Like, what does Nicky do whenever he's just being mild and relaxed? What do you tune in?
Well, I'm going to date myself, but I'm going to go back and name some artists. I mean, like, I like Jim Reeves. It's very mellow music.
Oh, yeah.
I like the old country music, the older style country music, not the current music, but I'm going back in the 60s, 70s, George Jones.
Yeah.
Things like that. I like Garth Brooks, things of that nature, country. That's where I would find myself most of the time.
Gotcha. What's the largest crowd that you ever performed for, Nick? Can you remember?
I believe that would be at, I'm trying to think of the name of the place, the Bellray Ballroom in Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Bellray Ballroom, we were back there with the new brass probably back in the late 70s. And I've never seen a place like that. I think the inside of that ballroom could hold probably 2,000 people. It was amazing. It was a huge, huge ballroom. And then we came back there a couple of years later. They had tents outside. So that was probably the largest crowd pretty much standing on the stage. There was not much of a dance floor left. These people were standing probably, 50, 60 feet back from us, just standing there watching. So that was a memorable occasion for sure.
You recorded with the new brass over at Wham, WRS, a.k.a. Gary Ramey's studio. And we're going to be interviewing Gary. He's going to be coming up at the end of this month. But share with us some of the favorite recording stories that you have personally. Some maybe cool memories.
Sure. When we recorded the Roll Out the Barrel album, we weren't even going to be putting the song Roll Out the Barrel on the album originally. That was an afterthought. Jan Simon was talking to Mitch and Roger, and we ended up doing Roll Out the Barrel in the style that we did it in, and it became the name of the album. So that was one of the crazier moments there, that it just came out of the blue. But Gary Ramey's an unbelievable engineer. I don't have to tell you how good he is. All the polka musicians who've recorded there, they're very well acquainted with his talent, and he's just a super guy to work with. We recorded that album in July of 1976. Okay. So that's going back a ways, but that was the only album Jan recorded with us. And that's the only album I did with them as well, it turned out.
Did you do the usual thing that practically every band does, in speaking with Mike Matuzek and Frankie Lishka, too, in previous interviews? They alluded to the fact that, you try to get there on a Friday night, you spend a little bit of time Friday night setting up, getting some levels, and then Saturday morning you hit it early. You record all day. Sometimes you don't even get a chance to eat, or you eat one meal. And then you come back on Sunday because you guys have to leave Sunday night for work on Monday. Did you do a lot of that stuff, too, throughout your recordings with the different bands, with the Mass Brass and the New Brass? or was it times where you were able to spend several days or maybe several weekends doing it?
It was pretty much weekend work, and just like you said and the other musicians had alluded to, that's exactly what you have to do. You have to be in town. You have to get set up the night before or the day before and go in there fresh in the morning, and it becomes a long session. Sometimes you do go into the wee hours. And with the Mass Brass, we came back a second day, of course, and made a few trips out there for that, for the touch-up spots and mixing. But there's some travel and work involved. It's an interesting experience.
Sure. Now, you've also lived in a couple of different areas. You lived in Massachusetts for a while, right?
Correct.
Pennsylvania is where you grew up, so it's kind of gone like full circle there, no pun intended, where you're back in Scranton, PA.
Right. I'm originally from Scranton. I moved to Massachusetts to play with the New Brass. Mm-hmm. I started with the Mass Brass up there, then I moved to New Jersey for about 12 years.
Okay, now did you play with a different band out around Jersey?
No, I was with the Mass Brass until 1992.
Okay.
And then in 1998, I came back to Scranton after my mom had passed.
Okay. All right. And we're going to be closing up here pretty soon. And again, I thank you so very, very much. But what recommendations or what advice would Nick Nidoh give to somebody that is just wanting to start out playing music? And it can be any genre of music whatsoever. Country, rap, blues, bluegrass, rock. What would Nick Nidoh sit down and tell that person before they do anything?
Well, first of all, you want to love the music you're going to play, because I think you'll feel that and it'll come from your heart. And again, as I mentioned, since reading music is not something I'm able to do, so all what I do comes from my heart and my feeling. But you have to be determined. You have to be persistent. When I first started with the New Brass, I mean, Mitch Biskup was intimidating. I was 19 years old. He was 29. I remember some of those practice sessions in the basement. And it was very sometimes frustrating because I basically stepped into a band with seasoned musicians, and I was not. So I practiced with a lot of help from Jack and Gary. I practiced and practiced and practiced. So not to use the old cliche, but practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
You have to be determined. You can't get frustrated, and you just have to stay with it. And it's rewarding because I've met so many wonderful people. Most of my life and most of my friends have come from the polka field because I've been in it for so long.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, too, that I, too, join you with not being able to read music. Do I kick myself in the rear end as to why I didn't learn at one point? Yeah, maybe. But for the most part, it wouldn't be as fun as it has been. The trip hasn't been as fun as it has been with, maybe having to read music. But a lot of guys don't read music, and they have been truly successful musicians, which is totally amazing.
Yeah, I guess you just play from what you hear, and the other thing is when you're on stage, you're able to look out at the people and do what you're doing. It would be kind of awkward to have to stare at music if I had to all the time, or read words. Sometimes you have to do that, but like you said, you get to look out and just enjoy your environment and do what you're doing.
Yeah. And also I was going to ask Mitch this. Maybe I can ask you. Have you guys talked about at any point getting the band back together for another reunion, possibly in 2022?
Well, I mean, if wheelchairs and oxygen are available, I think we might be able to work on that. But I speaking on Mitch's behalf, I don't really think that's in Mitch's future. But I can say this: if Mitch were to put a reunion together, I would absolutely like to be included and do whatever I can for him.
Beautiful.
Because that is truly one of the loves of my life, was playing with the New Brass. It was a very exhilarating experience for me, and I have many, many, many memories from that. So, if he were to do something, I would like to be right by his side again.
Yeah. And it's also funny, too, in closing, that you mentioned that, you were 17. These guys were kind of very influential in getting you moving. And I think I have to tend to agree with that, because when you play with the upper echelon or upper caliber of musicians, you tend to work harder at it, which only makes you a better player.
Most definitely, Robin.
Yeah. Hey, Nick, Nidoh, thank you so much. God bless you for taking the time to do this. Congratulations once again to your son and
thank you.
And his lovely wife. And apologize to Valerie for keeping you here so long. But we do thank you very, very much. And Nick, have yourself a wonderful week. And I'm sure our paths are going to cross and we're going to be talking soon.
Yes, we will. And thanks again to you and Jerry for having me on the show. I appreciate it. And stay well and be good.
Yeah, you too. Love you, pal.
Same here, buddy. Bye-bye.
Hey, we got a mass brass tune coming your way right now. Here's Nick Nidoh on the vocal one called I'll Love You Forever. Thanks to both Nick and Mitch for taking the time this afternoon. And also, thank you guys for staying with us. You're tuned to Polkas After Dark, the weekend version. That's the only time we do it, but we have something special coming up on the evening of Thanksgiving. And Jerry will be telling you a little bit briefly about that, so please make sure that you join us.
The sun may stop shining in heaven. The big deep blue sea may run dry. The man in the moon may stop smiling, but I'll always be by your side. My life's one and only endeavor is to love you forever and ever. I swear by the stars up above you, forever and ever I love you. Będą świecić i wiatr nie będzie dmuchał. Może deszczyk przestanie padać, ale Ciebie będę kochał. Na zawsze Ci będzie jak niebie i nie tylko będę się Ciebie. Pamiętaj, co ja Ci powiedział. Na zawsze ja będę Cię kochał.
That's the sound of the Mass Brass on one of their earlier recordings. I'll Love You Forever, Mr. Nick Nidoh. And again, we want to thank so much Mr. Mitch Biskup from the New Brass and also Nick Nidoh from the New Brass and the Mass Brass for spending this afternoon with us. And also thanks to everybody in our chat rooms. You guys have made this all worthwhile. And Jerry, tell everybody about a few things that are up and coming, why don't you?
All right. First of all, I want to mention the USPA 2021 Mini Polka Fest November 5th and 6th over at the Holiday Inn, Independence, Ohio. That is taking place Friday, November 5th with Energy and Dinah versus Sticktonaires.
Dinah versus Sticktonaires, 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 Dinah versus Sticktonaires. That's the name of the band.
All right. And they start at 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. And on Saturday, November 6th, what are we going to do when you don't have that to sing?
What?
When
the DVSTA will be
once the
playing
festival's
at
over, you're going to get lost
other
again.
Things. No,
All
they'll
right.
be playing at other events, and I can I can
All right.
do that.
I just want to make sure you're taken care of, honey. On Saturday, November 6th, we have Lenny Gamoka and Chicago Push, Polka Family, and Polka Country musicians playing from 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. You can contact the Holiday Inn in Independence at 216-524-8050 and let them know you are attending the USPA Mini Fest to get a special rate. You can also call Barb Haslow at 440-886-6157 for more information. Again, Barb's number is 440-886-6157. And while we're talking about special events, I had mentioned yesterday that we will be having a special event on Thanksgiving evening.
Oh, no, what day is that? It's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday,
Okay,
which is going to be way different because we're never on Thursday.
Yeah, okay, and what time are you looking at?
After dinner. So I'm thinking like maybe 7 o'clock because everybody will be in a coma from all the turkey and mashed potatoes and everything that they've eaten. And we're actually going to do a special interview. That interview is going to be none other than Robin Pegg.
Oh, I know him.
I know him too.
He's a good friend of mine. Yeah. Very good friend of mine.
We actually are having a number of individuals that I've reached out to are going to be asking the questions directly, and Robin will be answering them. So it's going to be an exciting night. Everybody's been asking for the interview, and instead of wasting a Sunday on Robin, we're going to do it on Thanksgiving.
That's a nice thing to say.
You're booked till the end of the year, and you know, instead of taking that slot on a Sunday, we'll do it on a Thursday, and then people can watch it when they want to.
Yeah,
if they're not with us on Thursday.
Now it's available, of course, on Facebook and also our YouTube channel. And any of the previous interviews, as well as our Saturday night broadcasts, you are now able to watch those on our YouTube channel. Just go to Polkas After Dark. Type that into the YouTube search. It brings it right up. And they are in order of the interview, and they have the PAD, Polkas After Dark abbreviation, and then the date, the month, the day, and the year of those interviews. So
and it's
please.
not September 11th,
No.
2020. Did you see the date up here underneath our
Oh,
screen?
no. You know what? Yeah, that was supposed to be changed a while ago.
That's funny.
Yeah. No,
it's not September.
That happens a lot. That happens a lot with those things.
We hope that you guys join us for the Thanksgiving special show, and that those people that I contacted, I'm looking forward to the questions, and there will be other people that I'm contacting. It was just like a quick email that I sent out last week, but there are other people that I need to get in touch with for interviews.
Some folks that I have had the pleasure of interviewing, it was kind of nice that they all said, yeah, we'll go ahead and fire some questions off. We're not going to tell you who those people are, but we already have a few of them in the hat, so to speak, and I will be mixing those down, but I will be answering the questions live. Which is going to be nice.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not going to be a whole pre-recorded thing. The questions are pre-recorded, but I will be answering those live. So it's kind of like, okay, you put me on the spot here. What do I do? So I'll be dancing and singing Buffalo Shuffle and stuff. Hey, speaking of Buffalo Shuffle, our team is going to rock and roll again tomorrow
night. Let's
in
do it.
Memphis, Tennessee. That's going to be... Did you see all the people on the plane?
Yes.
That was heading down to there?
They said over 30,000 people from Buffalo went to...
On that one plane?
No, not on that one plane. Just
I was going to say, how the
overall
heck did that happen?
Yeah, that's a big ass plane.
Wow. No, that's quite all right. I tell Mitch and Nick to please be careful, not say anything, and you got to say the big beep plane. That's cute. Hey, there's one more song that we have to play before we switch some things over. But Mitch also sang a song that everybody loves, including us, so we listen to it all the time. Here's one called Strawberries and Raspberries.
peacefully. All night we had that joy and rested for a time. And then she asked of me to drink that brut of wine. Oh, les fraises, les framboises, du bon vin j'en ai bu. Montrez-moi toute la joie que vous avez trouvée. Ah, les fraises, les framboises, du bon vin j'en ai bu. Montrez-moi toute la joie que vous avez trouvée. Oh, the strawberries, raspberries, good wine that I drank. There are friends gathered round that often I do thank. Oh, the strawberries, raspberries, good wine that I drank. There are friends gathered round that often I do thank. Oh, the strawberries, raspberries, good wine that I drank. There are friends gathered round that often I do thank. Oh, the strawberries, raspberries, good wine that I drank. There are friends gathered round that often I do thank.
Hey, how about a little bit of sports fan for Mr. Andrew? He requested this one. Here's a little bit of the sports fan polka done up by Limelight.
Well, he sits there watching TV every night, flipping channels looking for the hockey fight. College football is such fun, can he pick who's number one? When the season ends, another has begun. 'Cause he's a sports fan, watching every game. Win or lose, it never ends the same. From the Yankees to the Mets, love those Giants and the Jets. Now he's a sports fan, what a sportsman. April through September, baseball is the
Hey, gonna say hello to Dawn Zastavna Ramanzo. She's here with us again this afternoon. Hi, Dawn.
his team stay in first place. Win that pennant, then the race. If a game is on, you'll see it in his face. 'Cause he's a sports fan, watching every game. Win or lose, it never ends the same. Take the Rangers, Knicks, and Mets. Jersey Devils, place your bets. Now he's a sportsman, what a sportsman. Now he's a sportsman, watching every game. Win or lose, it never ends the same. From the Yankees to the Mets, love those Giants and the Jets. Now he's a sportsman, what a sportsman.
Hey, that sports fan, a little bit of Limelight with Mike Costa. How about we bring up the guys in the project? Here's one called After Hours at the Omen.
The fans are leaving, the music's over. and pretty soon the hall is empty. It's dark and quiet too. The owner locks the door, then drives away. Very confident this hall will stay that way. By now the lights are getting brighter as the jukebox picks a polka. Chairs are pairing up to dance across the floor. The bottles start to pour, the glasses ask for more. There's gonna be a polka party all night long. Ooh. The bar stools spin around and join the party. The lemmings ask the lines to dance around the blender for a while. The jukebox looks around and sees the fun. He flips his record now, the fun has just begun. The juice begins to leave the cooler, bags of chips are twirling round. A couple microphones are singing out their hearts. The clocks are waving their hands in perfect time with the band. There's gonna be a polka party all night long. For many hours the party rolled on. It started getting pretty wild around the middle of the night, and then a crash was heard from not too far. It was a shot glass who tried Yezhinovka and fell off the bar. The broom and dustpan marched right in to sweep the pieces from the floor. One by one the glasses dove into the scene. And when the owner came around, there were no clues to be found to prove there was a polka party all night long. Yeah!
After hours at the Omen.
How about a little bit of EFO, Eddie Foreman in the orchestra? He's going to do some work with some hammer and some nails.
Szegeta motega piulka puszcze, ojcze Maryś, ojcze jesteś. Szegeta motega piulka pusz, ojcze Maryś, ojcze już. Szegeta motega piulka botek, ojcze Maryś, tutaj spotek. Szegeta motega piulka pusz, ojcze Maryś, ojcze już. Szegeta motega piulka botek, ojcze Maryś, tutaj spotek. Szegeta motega piulka pusz, ojcze Maryś, ojcze już. Szegeta motega widła gawiet, siadłej Maryś, kuna ławiet. Szegeta motega piulka pusz, będziesz Maryś moja już. Szegeta motega widła gawiet, siadłej Maryś, kuna ławiet. Szegeta motega piulka pusz, będziesz Maryś moja już. Szegeta motega i zdrowało, teło będziesz trochę zjadło. To jest młodego chłopca sa, jest kapusta kielbasa.
How about a little bit of Freddie Belinsky and the Brass Works? Hey, make way for Mike Costa and the Beat 3.0 off The Reason. Here's one called It Only Hurts Me When I Cry.
The only time I feel the pain is in the sunshine or the rain, and I don't feel no hurt at all, unless you count when teardrops fall. I tell the truth except when I lie. It only hurts me when I cry. You couldn't tell it by the smile, but my recovery took a while. I worked for days and nights on end just to walk and talk again. You can't believe the time it takes to heal a heartache once it breaks. The only time I feel the pain is in the sunshine or the rain, and I don't feel no hurt at all, unless you count when teardrops fall. I tell the truth except when I lie. It only hurts me when I maybe every now and then I have a small heartache again. You wouldn't know to look at me. There's tiny scars that you can't see. It was a struggle to survive. I'm probably lucky I'm alive. The only time I feel the pain is in the sunshine or the rain, and I don't feel no hurt at all, unless you count when teardrops fall. I tell the truth except when I lie. It only hurts me when I cry. Sunshine or the rain, and I don't feel no hurt at all, unless you count when teardrops fall. I tell the truth except when I lie. It only hurts me when I cry.
Hey, here's the original version of Judy's polka. Here's the Crew Brothers.
I first saw you at a dance. You were talking with your girlfriend. Staring at you, you gave a glance. Your warm smile made me break my trance. Judy, you are a beauty. I love you truly with all my heart. Judy, you're such a cutie. I'll love you always, we'll never part. I walked over, said hello, although I'm bashful as can be. We got acquainted and we danced. I knew right then you were meant for me. Judy, you are a beauty. I love you truly with with all my heart. Judy, you're such a cutie. I'll love you always, we'll never part.
Hey, say hello to Jan Dressler.
After 2 years of happy dating, we've both decided that it's time. Let's make arrangements to get married. Give me your love, I'll give you mine. Judy, you are a beauty. I love you truly with all my heart. Judy, you're such a cutie. I love you always, we'll never part.
Hey, a little bit of Dynastics here as we're winding down. We're going to be here until about a quarter after for you guys. Thanks so much for tuning us in. If you've been listening in your car, as we always say, thanks for the ride. You're tuned to Polkas After Dark.
When we met, we had a feeling what we had was meant to be. We should have stayed together, but we saw things differently. We were young and thought it would be best to go our separate ways. We played the field, but now we're back together, we will stay. We're back on track again, this time we'll make things right for us. Once again our paths have crossed, and this I know, that you've given my life meaning to withstand the test of time. We're back on track again, together we will grow. Break up, people change as we knew we would. We gained experience and knowledge as we should. We realized that change could hurt the bond that we once knew. But now we're back on track together, me and you. We're back on track again, this time we'll make things right for us. Once again our paths have crossed, and this I know, that you've given my life meaning to withstand the test of time. We're back on track again, together we will grow.
Hey, by special request for Danny, here we go with one called Papa Lucci. Here's Happy Louie.
La
spirits free. I hear the bells are crying, gliding in the breeze. I see my friend the little snail and he slyly winks at me. Up Belushi on the rock, making love the whole day long. In the warmth of summer, all the winter long. The only time he takes a break is when the tide turns in, and when it turns the other way, he starts right in again. When we first met some months ago, his family numbered 3. That he's been such a busy snail is very plain to see. You can hardly see the rocks, they're covered side to side. The Papalucci family now numbers 95. Papalucci on the rocks, making love the whole day long. In the warmth of summer, all the winter long. The only time he takes a break is when the tide turns in, and when it turns the other way, he starts right in again. Maybe I should take my wife along the beach with me. Have her watch this creature making love beside the sea. She'd lose her inhibitions, let her love run free. Not be known to her alone as Happy Luigi. Papalucci on the rocks, making love the whole day long. In the warmth of summer, all the winter long. The only time he takes a break is when the tide turns in, and when it turns the other way, he starts right in again. La 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 la. La 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 la
Hey, here's one of those bonus tracks from a Christmas CD from the Box On. Once again, thanks so much for putting us on, folks. God bless. We'll see you again next week, Sunday. There is no broadcast on Saturday. Jerry and I have a previous engagement, so there will be no broadcast next week, Saturday. Please mark your calendars.
The road to play music for all to hear. Celebrate all night long as we go on and on. Play till the morning light, till we must say goodbye. Until the next time that we meet, life will keep moving on. Let's keep this music loud and strong. Good night and God bless